that I was looking for. I couldn't find it. So you have your sludge with your cholinergic effects. So this is your organophosphate style poisoning, right? So this is, the red's a little bit difficult to see, but it's dumbbells, which is another just acronym for you to be able to help you remember for some of those.
What was meiosis again?
Pupils, condition of the eyes, so dilation.
Dilation
in
of the
these
eyes.
ones. All right, and so it just puts it a little bit different acronym. Everybody creates their own acronyms to be able to remember things, like we learned with Chandlin and his cranial nerves. But that's at like slide number 110, and so I doubt we're gonna get to there even today on day 2 of this. So I just wanted to.
We would have gotten there.
Somewhere.
Corey hadn't chatted. If Corey hadn't chatted, we would have made it.
Probably, yeah. We definitely would have made it. Yeah, Corey just would have minded his own business.
Let us
You have that
know.
recorded, right?
All right. Oh, is anywhere at 40? Oh, I opened the wrong one. Damn it.
Why is your eight points?
Oh, it's too easy.
Okay.
You were doing so well this morning. You had like this good meal.
All right, so you guys remember the female that we had?
Say that again?
17-year-old that took all those drugs?
Yes.
Took all those meds?
Yeah.
All right, so we're backtracking on her again, okay? So we kind of, some of the treatment routes that we have, right? So we kind of talked about those. We got our D50,
For the metformin,
okay? We have the Narcan 4.
the hydrocodone,
Oxy.
or
Okay.
Oxycontin.
We got our oxygen. What other drug?
What was the oxygen for? Just
Beta
because she
blocker
was
or
apneic?
Yeah, Dinesh. I think it was, didn't she have a respiratory rate of like 8 or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. Got it.
Okay.
Beta blocker for glucagon.
Okay.
Glucagon.
What was that?
The
8?
glucagon and D50.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Mark, what were you saying about B52 when you have the patient that's taking lunch up? What's a
The-
B52 cocktail?
It's Haldol, Ativan, and Benadryl.
Combative.
It was a benzo, Haldol, and Benadryl for
Combative.
meth
Oh,
overdose.
meth.
It's also just used as like psychotic, right?
Okay.
all right, so when people take a lot of pills, right? What other kind of medications can we give when people take pills?
Activated charcoal.
Activated charcoal. Okay, what do we know about activated charcoal? How did you know
It's
that?
an adsorbent.
Sorbent,
Okay,
It
so
makes
basically,
particles.
it what?
It makes particles too large to be absorbed through the enteric system.
By binding?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. What's one of the most important things when it comes to administering activated charcoal?
Don't let them see it.
Don't let them see it. Why is that?
Because it looks like car sludge.
What is the best way to feed somebody activated charcoal?
Through a straw.
So another thing you do is just snip the very end of it off.
Suck on
Yeah.
it.
And it's like a little water bottle, it's a squeeze bottle, right? So the best thing to do is not let them have the bottle at all. Just be like, hey, open your mouth, and you just, and then eventually they're gonna swallow it, right?
Relax your guy reflex.
And so that's Mark. Good, Mark. And so that's one method. Another method is you dump it, you shake it up, dump it in a cup. You use a straw, right? What's the problem with when you dump it in the straw? When you dump it in a cup?
They can see it.
What are they gonna do?
Spill it.
They're gonna spill it everywhere, right? What's one of the key administration points of activated charcoal in regards to pre-hospital setting? What do we have to do?
You know how much, yeah.
Oh.
MD order. We gotta call the doc, right? Why do we have to call the doc?
Are we calling the doc or poison control?
We're gonna call the doctor because it's MD order. It's MD order.
Okay.
And so they're gonna be a quicker reference for whether or not to do it or not.
Okay.
And so we got MD order on it, right? So it's, do we have any sort of absorption time, from the time of
Like
when they,
20 minutes or something after they conceive it.
or something? That's just a random, just throw that out there?
That's like
About, oh,
The
so we got,
contents still need to be in the stomach.
okay, so like 3 hours later, you come on somebody, they have diminished, well, let's say they're awake enough that they would be a candidate potential. Is that a candidate for activated charcoal? No, right? So basically the pills have to basically be intact prior to the absorption aspect. aspect of it. Is this a paramedic skill?
It's a basic skill. It is a paramedic skill, but it's also a basic skill.
Correct. So will there potentially be a time when you respond on a call and an EMT basic has already given the medicate, started the route?
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of stuff do you wanna find out from the EMT basic?
What they took, when they took it, how much they took, and how much activated charcoal they gave.
Cool. And why they decided to give it, right? Did they call the doc to do that, right? Because, do most EMT basics have like a direct line to a doctor to be able to make those kinds of phone calls and stuff like that? Not usually, right? Usually it's us who show up on scene, we're the ones who make the call. And so it's just those kinds of things to think about and run through with it. All right?
For clarification, when you're calling the doc, are you just landlining to the ER for the doc on call?
Yeah, so basically, so we have two lines. So you have the bat line, which goes straight to the doctor desk, and then you have the charge desk. Charge desk does us no good unless we need like our MRN number or something like that. But if you want anything ever accomplished, call the doctor. You speak directly to the doctor, you don't have to bypass. Like, even when there's not a doctor sitting there, the nurse or charge nurse or ward clerk will pick it up and be like, hey, this is whatever your MD phone, stand by, I'll get you a doctor. They don't even ask who you are or anything like that. And then on comes, hey, this is Dr. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, who am I speaking to? Dr. Blah, blah, blah. So what do I do at that point? I'm just like, all right, I'm not gonna do this for a third time. I'm just like, hey doc, yeah, this is Kris, I'm on Medic 2, this is what's going on. And so if I'm asking for activated charcoal, how would I package that? How would I present that to the doctor?
I'd like to give activated charcoal information.
Ah, thank you. Let them know what you want right off the bat, right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Don't, like, I've listened to you guys give a couple of the reports, be like, hey, blah, 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 and then at the very end, it's just like, oh, yeah, and I want to give activated charcoal, and it's like, okay, great, I wasn't listening to anything you said during the last 5 minutes, and now I'm gonna have the same questions that you actually legitimately already told me, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. All right, so you give them what you want first so that they know what specific things that they're gonna start listening to. All right, has anybody ever tasted activated charcoal?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you guys like to get the chocolate flavor?
Chocolate, lemon, you know.
Cherry.
It seems like the basics that come through, they all want to try it when we show it.
How many people have tried oral
Hey,
glucose?
you should try this, it's not so bad.
Why is it more hands went up for oral glucose but not for activated charcoal?
Same reason you have him drink it through the straw?
Because it was expired.
Because it looks disgusting and well, the best part is like when you roll into somebody that like, and the nurses look at the person and the person's like sitting there, they're kinda awake and like you say something, you have to say something funny because you gotta make the patient laugh. Because, well,
They can smile.
because they got a very black smile that's going on. And then what does that do to everybody else in the room? It
Makes
makes
them laugh.
everybody else laugh. And they're like, oh, lucky you, you got activated charcoal. Okay? All right, so we got activated charcoal. Anything else that we can give?
We don't give
jeez.
Epicot
Holy
anymore.
moly, we got all kinds of stuff here, right? We discussed a lot of it, right? And so these are just basic common presentations. So not necessarily, so this patient, we're not expecting the tachycardia, right? We're expecting the,
Bradycardia.
okay, and we gave our glucagon for the bradycardia, right, for overdose, right? And so I just decided I would just print this up here to explain how glucagon works in a beta blocker overdose and why we give glucagon. So take a second to read that. Piece of cake, right?
Yeah.
Because it may
Makes total
bypass.
sense, right?
B receptors, is that beta receptors?
Yes.
Thanks for the flavor.
So here we go back to anatomy stuff, right? So this is why anatomy is important.
I thought Corey said it wasn't important.
Yeah. You made it very
First thing
clear.
I said, very clear, it's not important.
Correct, not important at all, right? And so I can almost guarantee you that if you were to go out into the world right now and ask a paramedic on the line, and be like, hey, how does, the only reason I say this is because I asked my entire crew yesterday, who are like on probation or just off probation, so like they're supposed to be at the top of their game. I'm like, hey guys, so can you tell me why we give glucagon in a beta blocker overdose? It's like, and how many people do you think came up with like smooth muscle relaxant type of stuff? Almost all of them had something to do with that. I'm like, yep, not even close. So now you guys are above and beyond all of the currently working active paramedics.
Can you explain that in other words?
No, I can't, because I couldn't.
I was like,
Because that's why I had
I
to
had
do
to read it
this.
like
Did
5
you
times.
just copy
so-
and paste that?
I did copy and paste that.
It looks
Because
like
I
a
was just like, well, you know what?
Did you cite your source yet?
But
There was like
all
three
I'm saying is
sources.
that
Three
bypass
sources
the
that
beta
It
receptor.
wasn't a full copy and paste, but it was a, I grabbed a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and it seemed to make a
I
big
know
effect.
choking effect.
Yeah.
because
It may
bypass-
bypass the beta adrenergic receptor site
Don't ask questions about it.
because it may
'Cause he doesn't know.
bypass it.
Alright.
So it might and it might not.
So the blocks beta
It
receptors
says it may.
Or bypass.
are bypassed, so you should have an effect.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I was talking about this with my crew the other day. I'm just like, hey, you know, there's some times when these students, they just ask all these crazy questions. I'm like, I don't know the answer. And so what I do is I just start clicking faster. And I got this one student that says, hey, can you back up a second? And I'm just like, Art, you got me. All right, so agitation. What are our benzos that we're gonna give for agitation? Percent.
Valium.
First seizures.
Okay.
Ketamine,
Valium, Versed.
propofol.
All good, Dustin. Good.
Yep, I can
Do you
read.
carry
No.
propofol?
Nope, but it says
So why would you say propofol?
Because it says it.
But you said benzos, so our benzos are Versed, Valium. Those are 2, right?
Like more suicidal.
Valium.
Just came out in your text today.
Diazepam.
Yeah, I've read that.
Ketamine is like a therapeutic dose.
Interesting. I wonder what kind. How much?
They don't know how.
Okay,
They
so
don't know how.
what would you guys consider agitation? Like, at what point would you decide to medicate somebody?
What you are now, after your bang.
Right?
If you didn't-
Close bang.
If you didn't do harm to yourself or others.
So this is gonna be a judgment call, right? So anytime you see Cody and Chandler interacting, this is when Cody
We were just smiling at each other. We locked eyes, we smiled.
Oh my gosh! Valentine's Day! Oh.
Because Cody's in love and he's like softer. They made softer too version of Cody.
Both laugh and sing.
And Chandler out.
that hurts.
Oh, sorry.
Cody,
Those kind of moments.
I even have special Valentines up here for you. Now, gone. Okay? So, like on a serious note, like agitation, like there are patients on a very large spectrum where you're gonna have to make the determination. So what would be something that where you would be concerned to the point where you need to medicate?
We ran it.
What?
Threat to you.
Threat to you or
Themselves.
Or others or themselves.
themselves, right?
We ran a trauma scenario with a GCS of 10 and a combative patient at the same time that had a spinal injury. Would you
How do you know they had a spinal injury?
step off on their back? They had no feeling in their feet.
Oh, they're rallying against you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got
this is
2
good.
hands.
I like
So I know.
whoever
I
made
was
this
curious.
up. Who made it up? I like this.
Maybe me.
Dustin made it up.
Oh, never mind. I changed my mind.
Yeah.
He gave it to me.
So
You gave it
that
a di-
lovely office chair situation where they have a T4 fracture, but they're still awake and agitated.
I love how this is not T4, dude. This is not T4. How do we define T4?
This is T4.
This is T4.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Anytime you refer to T4,
Yeah.
we go this. We're gonna do this. I don't know what this is. It's like this is like. Okay. All right. So when it comes to the agitation, this is one of the biggest things where you will watch somebody be like, "Hey, we need to put this person under." It's like, do we really need to put this person under, or are you just like wanting to
Lazy.
cable somebody? Right?
Is it Noah that it just doesn't want to deal with this person?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Is like there are patients that are very easily managed that paramedics will try and sedate and get them under control, and most people probably don't need to be sedated compared to what we do sedate. So like a 13-year-old kid that's screaming and throwing a tantrum and refuses to come out of her room and says that she's gonna destroy everything, does that person get put down?
Parents want.
Sweet one.
That's what the parents call this part, like, I can't control my kid, right?
You can tell
And you're a parent, so you're like, yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, I got one of those daughters at home too, right? Like, never
I've
comes
got
out.
ketamine on a drip.
Yeah. Like, we just slip that under the door and be like, hey, honey, I got a little
Here's your
treat for you, here's your food.
Please.
So there are some paramedics out there that will legitimately draw up ketamine and be like, dude, are we seriously going to sedate a teenage girl? Like, are you saying you can't control this small individual with, like, maybe just some
Some
seatbelts or some blankets, soft restraints,
Your words.
stuff like that, right? So people will immediately go to that. Like, do you think maybe like the interaction with you and the patient versus mom and the patient may be a little bit different? Yeah, my daughter would be terrified. I mean, not that my daughter is one of these freak out kind of kids, thank God. But if she was, the interaction that I would have with her compared to a professional that walks through the door and be like, oh, this is kind of the real deal kind of thing. Like, I've never had a problem with walking into the room with our uniforms on, right? And be like, so, I'm gonna give you a couple options. You're not gonna like any of them, but let's hang out, right? And so we you do that communication and it's kind of like the verbal judo, where it's just like, you make the options, the discussion, and most of the time, what do?
Calm down.
They calm down, right? Until what happens right here.
Mom comes back in.
Yeah, mom
No.
sticks her head around the corner. And what happens when mom sticks her head around the corner?
Something flies.
Boom, we're right back to full tilt again, right?
It's always mom.
I'll be honest, most of the time it is. Because dad's always the cool one with daughters, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just my personal thing. And so, so putting a person, so now let's say you go and you end up with a patient that the cops, you walk through the door and the cops are on top of this person, holding this person down, and they're like, they called you because they need this person sedated. They're like, hey, this person's going to jail, this was a altercation, yada, 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 and they're just thrashing around.
They get sedated, they're not going to jail, right?
Right, they're definitely not going to jail, right? They're gonna have to send somebody, right? Is this a sedation and agitation? Is there the potential for other underlying medical conditions? Is there potential that this person could harm themselves or somebody else?
They're in the process of trying to harm someone.
They're in the
else.
process of trying to harm, even if they are not, they're just resisting because they don't like the position, maybe they're in pain because of what the officers are doing. You don't really know. So what you have to do is you have to protect everybody involved, the patient, the cops, you, and then this would be a patient that would get sedated, and then let them sort that out at the hospital, right? So how sedated are we gonna put somebody like this?
If we're giving them 4 mg per kg, that's
Enough to
Pretty
be
out.
out, but not enough to not breathe, hopefully.
Right? So we're gonna monitor end-tidal O2 sats, we're gonna monitor everything the whole time, right?
yes.
Be ready to bag if you have to.
Are you gonna have to bag them? Does ketamine affect respiratory drive?
Technically, no.
It says technically no, right? Does it affect respiratory? Yes, it does. Okay,
That's what a discussion we had yesterday with the benzos. And
right. It doesn't technically wipe it out, but it causes everything else,
Yeah.
LSD, okay? I think your bradycardia and your symptomatic bradycardia has pretty much been covered this morning, so I don't think we gotta talk about that. Hypotension.
Mark wants to cover this.
No, well, you know what?
what was that slide?
Yeah, exactly. So that basically kind of covers a lot of the hypotension aspect of it with your dopamines and your management of that way. The patient goes into seizures based on toxic inhalation or toxic exposure at the very bottom. They go into seizures. Our drug of choice is
Benzos.
I have a question.
we don't carry Valium.
In Lane County protocols, it says you only give Versed for status epilepticus, which is seizures induced by epilepsy.
Right. So why would you give? So no, status epilepticus is not epilepsy. Status epilepticus is a seizure with no lucid period, followed by another seizure, followed by another seizure, followed by another seizure. It's not epilepsy. It's there's no lucid period in between seizures.
Back to the food.
Yeah, why is it, is this like your little safety blanket here, and it's like, I'm gonna shut my mouth?
That's my excuse.
Yeah.
Will you go back a slide?
No, I'm not going back a slide.
There was something on there with insulin and calcium channel blockers.
Oh, yep.
Specific glucagon for beta blockers, insulin for calcium channel blockers. I don't understand that statement. Is that saying that we give insulin to treat calcium channel blocker overdose?
No.
Is that just words thrown up there for a salad?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
And it doesn't
I don't
have
know
the
any
other
reason-
end
I don't
of
know
its-
any reason why you would give insulin for a calcium channel blocker.
Or are we giving calcium channel blockers for an insulin overdose?
No.
That would be sugar.
Yeah, that would be our sugar.
Right.
So, not
It
sure.
looks like the second half of that has been
Deleted,
deleted.
yeah. I do a good job of deleting stuff,
Cool.
trying to shorten things down that are non-pertinent, so that'd be some of that non-pertinent.
That you should take out.
Yeah. So I gotta take a little more out next year, okay? Okay, so we got these, boom, 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 boom. All right, so ultimately, so when you have patient overdoses on stuff, what's gonna happen to the chemical imbalance in their body? Is it gonna get out of whack?
Will you say that question again?
So haywire.
It's gonna go, yeah, so chemical imbalance in the body, such as your potassium, calcium, magnesium, are gonna get, depending on what medication they take, right, can potentially put them into different arrhythmias, right? So based on the arrhythmia, so we're gonna treat arrhythmias with our normal response, right? And so what do we do for torsades?
Magnesium.
Maxo?
Torsades what?
De
Torsades de Pointes,
Magnesium.
magnesium, how much mag?
1 to 2 grams.
2 grams.
1 to 2 grams.
Blake,
1 to 2 grams.
which one are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna go 2 grams.
2 grams.
Because you can only give it once, and might as well give it all.
So now what happens if you overdose somebody on mag? Now what? Can you draw it back
There's some
out?
calcium.
Yeah,
Can you draw it out though?
No.
Overdose.
no, you can't try it.
How much do we give somebody that's pre-eclamptic?
Same.
So there's like, so you got somebody that's like torsades, like a VTAC, crazy torsades, versus like you're giving half the dose that you're giving to somebody that has an actual baby and is pre-eclamptic, right? So pretty benign. It's a pretty benign dose. So yeah, I would go with year 2. Okay. So monitoring for acidosis.
For preeclampsia,
Uh,
or also.
So it's a little bit different, so you're going more of a drip, you're titrating with the preeclampsia versus an IV bolus, yeah, versus the IV bolus.
Cool.
So you're monitoring acidosis, right? Treatment is?
Sodium bicarbonate.
What's the dose of sodium bicarb?
50 milliequivalents.
1 mil
The
equivalent per
whole
kilogram.
pre-filled syringe.
Do you do a maintenance strip for, if you have a patient that's in torsades? Because I'm looking at our protocol and it says pulsus arrest should give 2 milligrams or 2 grams and the preeclampsia is in the order. Is the maintenance strip listed on here for preeclampsia only, or is that a
Yes.
maintenance strip for
Yes.
torsades as well?
Nope, it is the maintenance dose is for preeclampsia only, and you are giving a bolus and cardiac arrest. Okay? So sodium bicarb, 50 milliequivalents. How are you gonna know whether or not to give it?
Prolonged downtime.
Signs of hydrogen ion sepsis.
Not
High in tidal.
So, yes, what type of acidosis are we thinking?
Metabolic.
So how long is would you consider it to be
A prolonged downtime?
Yeah, like
Oh.
when you witness the arrest, and then.
If you witness an arrest,
And then there.
you will not ever be able, for the purpose of considered prolonged downtime, if you witness it, then you shouldn't be giving sodium bicarb.
Okay.
It's you come up, you find them, they've been down, unknown downtime, that's when you start considering that prolonged downtime. 'Cause if you're witnessing it and immediately are on CPR, you're still circulating everything, you're still ventilating, everything's still working appropriately, so you're really not suspecting that for the prolonged downtime.
Okay, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Would that be different if they were hyperkalemic and you witnessed their arrest because you did not?
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, so the difference between the prolonged downtime versus the hyperkalemia patients, absolutely, those are the times, yes, you're absolutely gonna go with your bicarb in those cases. It's specifically connected to the prolonged downtime acidosis.
Being the only cause.
I had this conversation with Corey about hyperkalemia and sodium bicarb. He was saying that it's just gonna be our calcium
Calcium is the antidysrhythmic.
is the antiarrhythmic, and the sodium bicarb is only if you know that they're acidotic.
Right, and that's basically just to correct the pH balance. So the calcium is what is actually your antidysrhythmic.
Antidysrhythmic.
So, like, you can still give your bicarb.
That's just if you think they've been down for a long time.
Oh no, if it.
Everybody remember this number?
If you think they're acidotic.
29, okay? Harmful physiological and psychological effects. What does psychological effect be?
Altered mental status?
Oh, that's our go-to, right? That's what we use. All right, routes. You have ingestion, inhalation, absorption, and injection. Yes? Those are our primary ones. So you have inhalation. Ooh, look at this dude. This is not healthy or not.
Not, unless he just has a mat, like one of those pore masks on, and those are cucumbers.
Those are the little nighttime. He's actually just doing his thing. You want the lights off? Is that what you want?
Dustin, do it.
Do it.
Hey.
Oh.
Thanks, Dustin.
You're welcome.
All right, types of inhaled stuff, right? So you have your soluble and your insoluble. Soluble, chlorine, anhydrous ammonia. We talked about this with what types of things does it cause contraindications for us on?
King
King airway.
King airways, right? So that's like an ingestion. So now you got inhalation. So same general treat process, right? What does it do as ammonia and stuff enters the airway?
It starts to break down the membranes of our cells.
Okay? And then if it's insoluble, how far down does it make it?
To me.
What's the difference between soluble and insoluble?
Dissolve.
If it dissolves in with water, well, that's water soluble. Soluble is if it dissolves in something.
Okay. So this basically, on the way down, it's a gas. It's just going to go out and it's going to attack anything that it can basically touch its particles on, right? So it's going to burn all the way down, right? So most of the time you're going to burn upper airways. This is where you're going to have upper airway burns. You're not going to see the upper airways, but this is your upper airway portion. Insoluble has a little bit more of an ability to get down deeper because it's not immediately absorbing right off the bat. So it'll get down into the alveoli, and then it'll just kind of sit there, and it'll slowly burn that stuff. All right? I don't know why it does this stupid thing. All right. Asphyxiants versus, so what types of, God dang, sorry. Don't want to do that. So, all right, so what type of a situation would you guys respond on for a simple asphyxiant that you would potentially expect?
Carbon monoxide.
Maybe a gas leak in the house.
Maybe gas leak in the house.
Dust off.
I couldn't hear it.
Thanks, Ally.
Sorry.
Good job, Allie.
It must be this region in the room.
Right.
I heard it just fine.
Dust off.
Maybe it's like the computer, Derek's computer just running at the same time. Okay? So basically it's going to displace your oxygen, right? So your methane and propane, I just don't remember if, so, there you go. So there are kits out there now that show, basically you get them online, that use propane bottles. And we've actually gone on these quite a few. They're designed with a trash bag, with a hose, and a propane bottle, and they connect it into it. What do we get called for?
Stupidity.
No, not stupidity,
Stu-
suicide, right? So you will come through the door and you'll see somebody with that over their head, propane bottle there. What's the first thing you should think of?
Kaboom!
Safety of yourself.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So you walk through the door, it should immediately be like, "Erch," right? Because who knows if that's still sealed, right? So what's going to happen if you walk in there and be like, oh, we're going to start doing our thing, right? What's the potential?
Perfect.
Now
mixture of
you-
oxygen.
Alright, cool. That's why you always let the new person go first, right? It's kinda like the little rat thing, you let it see you go and be like, you okay? You okay? Okay, now we're good, right?
Yes,
Little test rabbit.
We have seal monitors,
Right.
right? Med bag.
So this is something that here locally we call the hazmat team round, right? So we'll call the hazmat team because A, we don't know 100% if it's propane. We don't know what gas is being used for these, but we've had quite a few of these scenarios where you walk through the door, open up the door, neighbor call or something like that, and they're like, "Hey, we got this," and it's like, "Birch." So, okay. Gotta call the hazmat team. How long does that take?
So they're
10,
successful.
15 minutes.
They are successful. They're going to be successful in their attempt. Okay.
Last other foot.
Systematic tox up. So carbon monoxide poisoning. Where are we going to get those?
Gas leak in the home.
Gas leak in the home, right? One of the most common ones that carbon monoxide alarm will be going off, right? They'll be like, "Oh, it must be a bad battery," or something like that, right?
No.
And then what happens a little bit later?
Right. Or they
So,
fall asleep.
What are signs and symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning?
Lightheadedness.
Headache, lightheadedness.
Bluing of the lips. No.
Yeah. Thanks, Mons. Thanks. Way to step up. What's that? Cherry red skin for late sign. So what? How about nausea and vomiting? Right? So you got nausea, vomiting, headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, right? And that's usually why we get the call, if they're still awake. What if they're not awake?
For you get a call for cardiac arrest or unknown.
Right. Anytime you hear of the potential of multiple patients on a scene, you should immediately start wondering something along these lines.
Multiple unknown.
Unknown cardiac arrests, yep. And so we had one not too long ago where we had 2 patients. One was found down unresponsive in the bathroom and the other was a confirmed DOA in the other room. So as soon as we get there, we're like, wait a second, what's up? What do the cops do? They're just like, they just go flying in there, right? Because they don't know what's going on. And we're like, whoa, hey, hold on. And they're like, oh yeah, we got this person here, we got this person here. It's like, yeah, you guys are so freaking lucky right now because it's like, they didn't know what was going on. Is it a retirement home kind of thing? Or like, you just don't know, right? And so, luckily for them, it wasn't anything major. It just happened to be specific timing of the events and some Alzheimer's involved, and people didn't realize that people had been dead for a while, kind of thing. But it's very common that you want to be very cautious anytime there are multiple people that are down on a scene.
They can often be an adult and a child.
What's that?
They can often be adults and children.
Very much so. How about travel trailers, campers, stuff like that? So you commonly
Cook
have.
stoves inside.
Yeah, and so anybody that has a travel trailer or camper needs to make sure that they have carbon monoxide alarms and stuff in those for these purposes. Okay. Oh man, that's a bad day, right?
Is that an oatmeal facial scrub?
So we took Noah's snacks. Oh.
Are the eyes gone? Yes, they are. Are they covered?
Covered.
Oh, okay.
It's a spa day. They have big olives.
You take him out and clean him and put him
So
back.
what does this mean to you?
Holy shit. You got
Huh. Is this bad?
Yeah.
Yep.
You walk into something. So let's say you are on a rig that's dispatched to Matthew Knight Arena for some sort of exposure, chemical exposure.
Shit.
Seriously?
Chain the doors and walk away.
Hey, guess what? You're the first in medic unit.
Awesome.
Hey, Dustin, you're in charge. What are you gonna do?
Chain the
That's
doors and
bad.
walk away.
All right, good. That's probably not the best thing to do. Melanie, how about you? What would you do? Hazmat, okay. Are you just gonna hang out there?
Nope.
I'm not going to
Quarantine.
go inside.
How do we triage? What's our first triage?
Whoever can stand up and walk to me.
Okay, do you want them walking to you though?
No.
Go
Okay,
there.
what do you want them to do?
Quarantine.
So hey, do we need them in fresh air?
Yes.
Yeah?
You need a megaphone.
Oh man, I was gonna bring one today too. I was just gonna walk in and just be like, alright people, let's go!
Ooh. That would have made
Would be
something
great
nice.
if you wanted.
Well, it's pretty good because my crew, when I promoted to captain, that's what they got me. They got me a giant megaphone. And so
Because they thought you needed it?
no, they really didn't, but they were just like, hey, this is our gift to you. So for like the first week, because it plays a little song too. So every like 10 minutes, I'd get on the PA and I just play over PA, and then I just follow them around playing the song. They're just like, okay, this is the worst idea ever. Right? Yeah, so obviously you're not going to want all these people to just go out into the community, right? So obviously you're going to have to set up like treatment areas to corral people.
I'm gonna say before you even, so I'm confused on getting them the fresh air, but you need to have a containment area before you even let them into the fresh air.
Right. So you're not just opening the door and sending them out.
Yeah.
No. You are absolutely not. You have to have some place for them to go, but depending on what the exposure is, you want to get them, if they can still walk, you want them to get away from whatever it is.
To expose
that
them.
potentially get
To
them.
segregate. at
Yeah,
the
so
very
you-
least.
yep, so you're not just opening the doors and say, run for your lives kind of thing.
You're gonna have to call people in to get a containment zone
You,
set first.
you are gonna have to do
So
a
this
lot
is
of work,
very
right?
quiet.
Yes.
On the radio, hey.
Yeah. A massive, this is a very, very bad day for a lot of agencies around us, if this happens.
Do you know what this is?
I believe it is it sarin gas? Chemical attack, biological chemical attack, 12 people died when doomsday, blah, 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 bolt release. Sarin gas. Sarin gas in the Tokyo,
Same guy.
I remember that.
Confined space.
So, with sarin gas,
Isn't that what we need? Atropine straight to the heart from the rock?
no, that's BX gas.
No.
And so, okay, let's take a quick break real quick.